Greetings from Snake Mountain Boat Works on Wednesday, January 16, 2019. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Captivator. She's a 1954 Penn Yan Captivator Aristocrat who has come into the shop for some minor work, but mostly some pretty major work. We can start with taking a look at the transom. This seam is split open. We're not sure. This looks like this is split all the way across, but in both corners, as is not unusual with these small Penn Yan vessels, there's some rot starting, and so we will be addressing the transom, saving every bit as much of it as we can. On the top sides, other than some bled varnish over the years, the condition is pretty good. If you gaze down the top sides on both sides, your reaction is going to be, wow, she's in great shape, it looks good. And she is, save for that varnish on the port side that bled some, and there's some discoloration here. But here is the signal that this varnish is failing. See all the light and then the dark circles around these fasteners and the caulking compound. What this tells us is that moisture has been able to infiltrate and penetrate through the varnish layer, and this varnish is becoming close to the time when it's worth stripping to bare wood and starting back. There is so much work to do on her below the waterline that what we may decide to do, and what is a great temporary fix, 2, 3 years, 4 years worth of repair, is to sand these top sides flat, but not cut all the way through the varnish as best we can, and apply 3 or 4 layers of varnish on top of that. While we're here, the splash rails on the Penn Yans always raise issues. This seam is pretty tight on this particular boat on both sides, but it's the seam underneath that is the culprit, and the fact that what I'm feeling is a fair amount of bare wood. What happens is typically the top seam, and more often than that the bottom seam just open over time, water infiltrates, and rot starts to form on the inner face of the splash rail and the outer face of the top side. So we will remove both of the splash rails. But other than that, this is one of the most complete, the most optioned aristocrats we've ever had in the shop. She's been extremely well maintained. I believe she's had 2 owners since she left the factory in 1954 in Penn Yan, New York. I have already begun removing hardware, the windshield, the seating, etc. So yes, there is much more to her than you see here in this initial look. The issues on the bottom have to do with another set of of design flaws in these small Penn Yan hulls. The garboard has pulled away from the keel, and there's a very wide gap. It looks like there's some black rot that's begun there. So our method of attack will begin with releasing this keelson full length, which means releasing the seating both fore and aft, and then we will flip her, release the keel, release the garboards, and start back. But our other concern has to do with, see those splits? There are a lot of splits, and we can't tell for sure now, but they certainly look like they could be through and through in the planking. We encounter more here. So once we have her upside down, and before we remove the splash rails, because they will protect the top sides from the stripper, we will be stripping her to bare wood from the splash rails, the underside of the splash rails, to the keel. We'll be stripping the transom, and we'll be keeping you up to date as we move forward on the preservation of Captivator 1954 Penn Yan Captivator Aristocrat. Thank you so much. Bye-bye for now from Snake Mountain Boat Works.